for this early Wednesday morning of May 21st, 2015. The Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders here of the RCWR show, coming at you with some breaking news. This goes out especially to our YouTube subscribers in particular. A very good morning to you guys. And those of you that maybe were checking out WWE NXT event, I know this Wednesday night or just a couple of hours ago, you got hit like a 1-2 punch. You had Lucha Underground that was on for North America. Comes on later in the week, but first run is the English version on Wednesdays, and then you had NXT. A lot of you guys might have been going back and forth. I'm not really sure, but this news had came about within the past couple of hours, pretty much while the NXT event was on, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a 1-2 punch. Now, you see the title of this episode, but there's a part 2 that we need to cover as well. So this first part looks like Destination America has reportedly canceled all TNA wrestling programming. Now, we need to give credit to WrestlingInc.com, our good friends over at WrestlingInc.com, and we also need to give credit to the main source, Dave Meltzer, with the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Take what you are hearing with a grain of salt. We are just reporting this news that has come about as it goes as follows. Before it was announced last Friday that Impact Wrestling would be moving to Wednesday nights beginning on June 3rd, 2015. Remember, we talked about that in the RCWR show Extra last Friday. Destination America officials made the decision to apparently cancel the show and all other programming from the Nashville, Tennessee-based company. This is according to Dave Meltzer in this week's issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which was published late Wednesday night. It was noted to Meltzer that all TNA programming will cease to air on Destination America at the end of the third quarter of this calendar year. This is roughly the last week of September, so just slightly after Labor Day, when the current television season ends. Key people at the parent company, Discovery Communications, were informed of the decision. Now, 2 major reasons were given for the cancellation of the TNA shows. While Destination America officials considered the ratings for Impact Wrestling to be good, the numbers were not good enough to justify the cost of the programming. The other problem was that a number of cable networks advertisers specifically did not want to advertise during Impact Wrestling. The decision from Destination America was meant to be kept secret, quite like how Spike executives kept secret publicly last year, their decision to drop Impact Wrestling for months after the decision was made and reported. A public acknowledgement is expected to be made when the station reveals its 2015-16 television season primetime lineup. Following the March 13th, 2015 edition of Impact Wrestling, it saw viewership sink to a new low. Destination America officials made a decision to cancel Saturday morning programming under the belief that eliminating the replay would help the Friday numbers, the only numbers they cared about. Although there was a slight increase, all first-run programming, with the exception of Impact Wrestling, was axed due to the cable network's difficulty in selling advertisement time. For the May 8th, 2015 live edition of Impact Wrestling, Destination America had went out of its way to purchase an advertisement in the USA Today paper. I'm sure you guys recall that, to promote that event, believing that additional advertising and it being almost live would lead to an increased rating. Instead, that edition of Impact Wrestling did its second lowest number on Destination America, and the replay, which is primarily watched by viewers in the West Coast, drew a record low. Days later, Destination America executives made the decision to cancel all TNA wrestling programming. Are you guys with me so far? Dixie Carter, president of TNA Wrestling, was made aware of Destination America's decision early last week, although it doesn't appear that most of the talent knew anything since word of this had not gotten around. Her knowledge of the cancellation may have played a part in Impact Wrestling moving to Wednesday nights, but that is uncertain. Carter did not respond to any questions on the subject from Dave Meltzer. One last note, Dave Meltzer noted in his report that Destination America's decision has not been finalized. Employees at the station, however, not not been told anything new since a memo issued to them informing them of the cancellation. Meltzer does stress that this story is very much ongoing. So that is where we currently stand right now with what is potentially going on with the TNA wrestling brand. And I talked about this more on our podcast earlier this week with regards to TNA moving to Wednesday nights and all that. And I gotta be brutally honest, just to follow up on what I said on the podcast this week. I know a lot of people were like, Lee, when you gonna come back and cover TNA wrestling again? When you're gonna bring back Impact Showdown? And there was a big part of me that just really wanted to kick back and see how things would play out for the TNA brand in working with Discovery Communications, in being on the Destination America channel. And part of me was just like, let's see how they do for the first 6-7 months. And if everything's nice and steady, then maybe we can go on ahead and try to look into covering the brand again, have a new host or whatever, however we were going to do it. But we always did say to ourselves, we'll have the show be on a back burner. It'll be a little bit on a hiatus till we see exactly what is going on with TNA. And this is unfortunate and sad news to hear with regards to this. And I don't know, maybe I had a sixth sense, and I said sick, S-I-C-K. I know you guys probably are thinking, sixth? No, sick. I had a sick feeling that something just wasn't quite right just yet. And, for me, just the constant moving around that they were doing, 1 minute, they're on Mondays, then the next minute, they go to Wednesdays, then they go to Thursdays, then they go to Fridays. Hell, one point I remember they were on Saturdays or whatever, but I don't think that had anything to do with Spike TV. But I mean, you guys get the point. I mean, they just been bouncing around all over the place, and then you hear this. I mean, let's be for real. There was an executive from Destination America months back in setting up TNA being on Destination America that said, oh, there's an audience on Friday nights, wrestling fans, they crave wrestling. Blah, 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 blah. And then you heard, oh, they're moving back to Wednesdays beginning June 3rd. And now you're hearing this. I'm not going to come on here. Those of you that know us, you've been checking us out for a long period of time. I've always tried to be very kind to the TNA wrestling product. We've gone out of our way many times to try to interview folks on the TNA roster for you guys. My one main focus, my one big positive thought has always been for the men and women in TNA wrestling to continue to have that outlet. As I said on our podcast earlier this week, not everybody can go to the WWE. Not everybody can go to Ring of Honor. Not everybody can go to New Japan, Dragon Gate, Evolve, CZW. Not everybody can go to all those promotions. The more promotions that's around, the better, because it means those men and women are able to continue to work. They're able to continue to live out their dream. So for me, and I have friends, I know people that are involved in the wrestling business. Hell, we've worked with folks involved in the wrestling business. I've done, if you've been with us long enough, I've done promotions, advertising of some sorts for other wrestling promotions. Hell, we worked with people in the business. I mean, the last thing I want is for a company to go out of business, and TNA, no exception. I know we got people that's probably going to be like, all right, TNA sucked. And, that's a bad thing to say. I mean, when you really think about it, because you just got to think about it from the standpoint of the men and women that have the opportunity to be able to go and work. It's no different than what happened with the riots in Baltimore, just to kind of branch off a little bit. Stay with me here. You think about that CVS that was out there, and any and all other establishments that were vandalized, caught on fire, etc., right? You think about those people that were running those establishments. You think about the people that were hired for those establishments. Now that those establishments are out of business for now, in some cases, will they ever come back? You don't know right now. But one thing's for certain, they're out of business right now. Those people that work there, guess what? They don't have any other place to work right now. They are displaced. And it's probably going to be, I would think, a very tough journey for them to be able to find employment elsewhere. Sometimes it's a case of who you know, rather than what you know as far as your education goes. So you kind of got to apply that same thing to what could possibly be going on with the TNA product. This is why I have just been so vocal as of late when I've been hearing TNA is thinking about going out on the road, uh, doing live events, overseas tours, and all this other stuff. It's like, wait a minute, before you even go that far, take care of things one step at a time. You just got a TV deal. Worry about that first before you try branching out into this other stuff. You've been off TV for a couple of months. Work on rebuilding your brand again and all of that. And if Destination America feels that they have bitten off more than they can chew and they want out, that's their right. But this is definitely some troubling times right now if you're a TNA wrestling fan. Honestly, if the best advice I can give you right now, if you're a TNA wrestling fan, uh, say a prayer. Not for Dixie Carter, not for the Carter family. Say a prayer to those men and women that are on that roster, busting their ass every single week, trying to entertain you, the wrestling fans out there. Everybody wants to do the whole, WWE rejects and all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. Tyrus, aka Brodus Clay, one we've interviewed on our show before. Without TNA in place, there's no telling what he would be doing wrestling wise. He would probably still be working on the independent somewhere, but I think we all could be in agreement. It was a bonehead move for WWE to get rid of him right when he was starting to get white hot as a monster heel. You look at EC3, and I mean, that guy just screams, wow, this guy like is money. What the hell? Look at him. This guy's on point. And you hear that WWE released him, you're like, why? Derek Bateman, for those of you that remember, you're like, why did they release this guy? What the hell? They've been able to benefit very well in TNA wrestling. Brooke Tessmacher, aka Brooke Adams. At one point, she was in the WWE. They released her. Say what you will about her, she's been able to do pretty well for herself in the TNA wrestling promotion. Like crap, to the point she was involved in CBS's hit series. What was that show? The Amazing Race with Robbie E. So, I mean, you look at those examples. I could go on and on all night of people that, like, in some shape or form, they worked with another promotion. Things didn't go right. They weren't being utilized properly. They came on over to TNA. It was a new avenue. And in some shape or form, whether we liked it or not, in some shape or form, they were able to benefit from working with the TNA brand. Need to say a prayer right now for those men and women that are on that roster, and hope that if things do end up bad for TNA, that they're going to be able to bounce back and bounce back very well. You know what I'm saying? Part two that we need to share with you guys doesn't get any better for the TNA wrestling promotion, as this one actually involves Eric Bischoff. Apparently, Eric Bischoff, his partner Jason Harvey, and his son, Garrett Bischoff, they have slapped TNA Wrestling with a lawsuit. Apparently, it's over back pay, and it's in the hundred thousands. I can't remember the exact figures right now. I want to say it's definitely over 100K. It's somewhere between 100K to like maybe 120K. It's back payments, and basically they're saying that TNA, they were consistent in paying them on time, but there was a couple of payments that they missed, which was a breach of contract. They had informed TNA Wrestling about that actually twice, and they weren't compensated. So Eric Bischoff's lawyer, he's saying that they got all the information, they got all the backup and everything to prove that this lawsuit is not just about them trying to look for a payday. They're trying to get what's due. So we'll continue to stay on top of that one. But I mean, unfortunate news that you hear with regards to the TNA wrestling promotion. I definitely want to hear from you guys. So go on ahead, post your comments down below. I just thought I'd share the news with you guys because I know a lot of you all were watching Lucha Underground NXT earlier tonight. Some of you all may actually be watching the final episode with David Letterman hosting the late show there. And it's been pretty good so far, I must say. Really enjoyable. Check it out. Hopefully you set your DVRs. If not, you might be able to catch it on CBS on the rebound. But post your comments down below. Let me know your reactions to this news. Let's try to have a good conversation about this. I'm not looking for people to say good riddance and all that. I'm letting you know right now, if you come at us with that, you're going to get an instant block. I'm just warning you right now because I really want to challenge you guys, and I really want you to put your thoughts out there. Like, even if there's a part of you that, is kind of happy that this is going on with the TNA promotion, at least put great depth into why you're kind of happy that this is happening. But this really shouldn't be a happy moment. It really isn't. It would be a happy moment if new people came into play and took over the promotion from the Carters. You know what I'm saying? But until something like that comes into place right now, I don't know. I really don't know. We try to reach out to Bob Ryder, Dixie Carter, try to get them to comment on it because they always interact with any old body. We weren't expecting a reply, but we put the question out there to them as far as, hey, what do you got to say about Destination America looking for a way to exit their agreement, their contract with you guys? And we didn't hear anything. And I tell you what, later on today, this afternoon, before Thursday is out, it should be very interesting to see if Dixie Carter, Bob Ryder, and crew put some type of response out there to try to diffuse the rumors, the headlines like this that has surfaced. But keep the conversation going down below. We'll follow up on what y'all have to say this Friday here on YouTube for the RCWR Show Extra. You'll be able to catch that Friday night. And hey, man, if it's your first time checking us out, I'd love to have you subscribe to us so you never miss out all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis. Breaking news like what we're doing right now, interviews, I mean, you name it. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So do hit that subscribe button. And that is going to do it. Until next go round, be safe. And please, most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go round. Take care.